What gives you strength when you're getting attacked? You're one of the most attacked people in the world.
You talk in your book about getting even, the importance of getting even. Is revenge sweet?
I believe strongly in getting even. If somebody has hurt you, if somebody's gone out of their way to hurt you, I think that if you have the opportunity, you should certainly go out of your way to do a number on them.
You said that you love winning, and you have won a lot in life, in real estate, in business, in TV, in politics. So let me start with a mindset, a psychology question. What drives you more, the love of winning or the hate of losing?
Maybe equally, maybe both. I don't like losing, and I do like winning. I've never thought of it as to which is more of a driving force.
You've been close with a lot of the greats in sport. You think about Tiger Woods, Muhammad Ali. You have people like Michael Jordan, who I think hate losing more than anybody. So what do you learn from those guys?
Well, they do have something different. You know, the great champions have something very different, like the sports champions. And, you know, you have champions in other fields, but you see it more readily in sports. You see it over a weekend, or you see it during a game. And you see that certain people stand out, and they keep standing out. But it's there for you. It doesn't take a lifetime to find out that somebody was a winner or a loser. And so the sports thing is very interesting, but, you know, I play golf with different people, and there's a different mindset among champions. There's really a very different mindset. There's a different thought process. You know, talent-wise, sometimes you can't tell the difference in talent, but at the end of a weekend, they seem to win. So you have, you know, there's not one type of person, but the one thing I would say that everybody seems to have in common is they're very driven. They're driven, like, beyond.
They don't seem to give up easily.
They don't give up. They don't give up, but they do seem to be, you know, they have a passion that's maybe more than people that don't do as well.
I say it from my heart and my brain.
Right.
It's not just heart, it's heart and brain. And that's what I do.
So you just say what you want to say?
I say what I think is appropriate.
I've always believed in positive thinking. At the same time, I don't want to mislead. I also believe in aspiring, in terms of what you're doing, aspiring to protect against the downside. You can't just be this wonderful guy walking around, everything's positive, because unfortunately, that's not the way the world is. I love to tell people to think about the challenges so that when they do come along, you're ready.
Negotiation is a very, very delicate art. The big thing in negotiation is to try and figure out your opponent. Otherwise, you're going to look like an idiot and lose big.
What gives you strength when you're getting attacked? You're one of the most attacked people in the world.
I think you can't care that much. I know people that care so much about everything, like what people are saying. You can't care too much because you end up choking.
Next subject that we're going to discuss just briefly is success. Do you guys, I see all these handsome young men in the front, and I see all these beautiful young women. Do you guys want to be successful, or don't you care? Okay, you better believe it. So let's talk about it, okay? All right? Boy, does he have it. Stand up. Stand up. I love this guy. Stand up. Look at these guys. You have great people. I love them. Because I was no different when I was 20 years old, believe me. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to get out of Brooklyn. I said, Pop, I love you, but I want to get out of Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn, but I want to get out. And I love those buildings. You know, I looked from Queens and Brooklyn, and I'd see those big buildings, those big skyscrapers in Manhattan. I said, Pop, that's what I want to do. That's what I wanted to do. And lots of things can happen. I mean, I'll give you one story. About 8 years ago, I was approached by NBC and Mark Burnett to do a show that they had entitled The Apprentice. Now, I had an agent, a big agent, and he was a great agent. But I shook Mark Burnett's hand, and NBC was dying to do it, and they said, we'd only do it if you do it, Trump. You're the only one we want, nobody else. So I was honored, and I said, you know, okay, I'm going to do it. I knew nothing about television, nothing. So My agent calls me. I heard you accepted doing The Apprentice. I won't let you do it. I said, you're fired. He's worse than me. I did say that, but I waited a little while. Okay, you're tough. So Jim said, Donald, in the history of television, there's never been a primetime show about business or what you're trying to do that succeeded. I said, I wish you told me that. Then he said, and only 3% of the shows that go on television make it. So in other words, you're probably going to have a failure anyway, but you'll definitely have a failure. I'm your agent. I do not want you to do this show. So I said, you know, Jim, I have a problem. I shook the hand of NBC, and I shook the hand of Mark Burnett, who also is known for having done The Survivor, which is another great one. I think Apprentice is better, but these are minor details. I said, I shook their hand. He said, doesn't matter. You can't do it. I said, I have to do it. Anyway, time goes by. We do the show. It goes on. It starts at number 10. It goes to 8. It goes to 5 and 4. It then goes to number 2. And the following week, it's the number 1 show on television. And I knew it was good because I didn't know what the word rating meant. I didn't know, is that good or bad? But I knew it was good because the chairman of NBC called me. It was my birthday. And it was 7 in the morning. And he called. He said, Donald, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Now, to me, as an instinctive businessman, that means we're doing okay, right? My wife said, who was that? I said, that was the chairman of NBC. He wanted to wish me a happy. She said, darling, it's like 6:30 in the morning. So we went out, and I get a call from the agent. And he calls me also. But his call was like at 8. He said, Donald, congratulations. I'd like to see you. I said, Jim, what do you want to see me about? He said, well, your show just hit number 1. And if you don't mind, I think I'm entitled to a very substantial commission. Oh, he's worse than a real estate broker, Jerry. So I said, how much do you think you're entitled to? Well, how about $2 or $3 million? I said, Jim, you're fired. And that was it. That was it. But remember this. Okay, the story is long, but the point is, number 1, I shook hands. I want to honor my handshake. I would have, had I not shaken hand, I would have really listened to Jim. So that's important. Number 2 is sometimes in life to be successful, oftentimes, most of the time, you have to follow your instincts. You have to follow your gut. You have to. Your parents may say wrong, your whoever may say wrong, but you have to do it. Now, speaking of that, you've got to love what you do. And I've seen so many instances where people with great talent went into things that they didn't love, and they failed. I've seen other instances where people with far less talent. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I used to say until coming here, it's the greatest school in the world, the greatest business school in the world. I may have to revise my speeches to put it at number 2. Soon I probably will. The way you're going, I think I'm going to have to do that pretty soon. But I would always say to people, and I'd see people, and I'd say, you got to love what you do. Because, you know, if you love what you do, you work harder. But it's not work. I just bought Doral. I was telling Jerry, I just bought Doral, 800 acres in the middle of Miami, gorgeous. I'm so excited. I want to fix it up. It's sort of not so nice now. It's got the big tournaments, but I have many, many jobs like that. I love taking things and fixing, taking things and building. I love building. I almost like fixing better because if you're smart, if you're really smart, you can save a lot of money. When the building is there, the foundations are built, the steel is up, the walls are up, and then, you know, you have people say renovation costs you more money. Those are people that aren't smart people. I know that for a fact you renovated a couple buildings here and did very well that you could never ever do if you had to build new. If you build new, I love that too. I do it both ways. But there's something great about the renovation project. So, you've got to love what you do. You've got to work hard. Never, ever quit. Never, ever give up, because that's the other thing. I've seen people that are super genius, but they don't have that gut feeling. They don't have that stick-to-itiveness, that never quit. And I've seen people that almost made it and failed. because they couldn't go that extra mile. They couldn't do it. So you get something, you never ever quit, never ever give up. You know, there's another one. I was coming down and I just wrote it, and I've very rarely spoken about it. And frankly, I don't like to talk in the negative, but sometimes people are better off knowing the fact. Should I tell you what it is or not? Yes, I had a feeling you were going to say. You know, when people ask me about success, I've just started thinking about it over the last couple of years because I've seen a lot of it. You have to have an ability to handle pressure, because no matter how successful you are, I have many, many friends and enemies, a lot of enemies too, I don't care, but they're smart. I have a lot of enemies, and I've watched people and I've seen it. And people that can handle pressure can be entrepreneurs, can be successful. Now, I have some friends that are really, really smart, but they can't handle pressure. In which case, they should work for somebody, do great, and have a good life. There's nothing wrong with it. Because I almost think that's an instinctive thing, the ability to handle pressure. Now, one of the things I tell people about pressure is, you know what? They said, how do you handle pressure? Who's had more pressure than me? Have I had pressure over the years? And, you know, I mean, I get criticized in my hair, but it's not so bad, and it's real, it's mine. You know it is my real hair. I mean, I get killed. I had an article recently that was so good. It was such a great article. And then it had one line, but he wears the worst hairpiece I've ever seen. I couldn't show the article to anybody, and it's not even true. But you have to have the ability to handle pressure. And if you can't handle pressure, you have to know that about yourself. You have to know that about yourself. So, handle pressure. If you can't, that's okay. But one of the things I tell people about handling pressure is, remember, because they asked me the question, how do you handle the stress? And you know, somebody actually said, Donald, you're so handsome. Do you believe this? I love this person. You're so handsome. How have you stayed so handsome under all this pressure? And I actually thought of it to myself. You have to remember, it doesn't matter. God matters. Your family matters. It doesn't matter. And if you say it, I have some people, they say, I've got to be successful. I've got to be. They'll never be successful. It's too crazy. They can't think straight. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you that was going crazy, standing up about your success, right? So you've got to handle it. Now he's a little bit more low-key. That's very good. I like that. We've calmed him down. So you've got to be able to sort of say to yourself, nothing matters that much other than the real big deals with family, with your faith, etc. Okay. Always have passion. You've got to have passion for your family, for your life, for your church, for whatever it is. You've got to have that passion. You've got to just love it.
And we're on this planet for a very, very small period of time. And achievement is something that really gives you great pleasure. And when you achieve something, that's great, but now on to the next. Very important, you keep going. It's really just a wonderful thing if you can have a mentor. Having a mentor makes a big difference in life. Now, you have to look around who's somebody that you aspire to be or to be like, but having a mentor is a wonderful thing.